That was the countdown. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Cannonbull Podcast. I am your host, Saint George, joined today by the
Boo.
esteemed and
It has
wonderful
been so
guests.
long.
Yes,
Man,
it
let
has
him
been
finish the
a
intro,
very long
guys.
time. You started with the booing. This is your dirty work, man.
I in no way infringed upon your introduction, though.
Bruh.
By
Wait,
the way,
where's your
guys,
42nd
that
cell
is
though? Back to your lost?
that is Gee. They took his last brain cell. And we have Colonel Senpai with us here. And we also have Mono, who left the Matrix to be with us today. He had an important mission with Morpheus, but he sidelined that because we're much more important. So yeah,
I mean, you know what? We need to deal with the Prince of Darkness here. I think that's more important.
exactly. Speaking of which, today, guys, we're talking about Renfield, the 2003 movie about Dracula,
You
which
mean
had Nicholas.
2023?
Bruh.
2023.
Boo.
But with the plot that it had, it might as well have been the 2003
2003
movie.
film. Yeah, you're right. That would have
It might
slotted
as well have
in
been.
real nice.
Yeah, we have Nicolas Cage in this movie. We have Nicholas Holt, Nick on Nick action, if you know what I mean. We got Aquafina, Ben
Pause.
Schwartz,
Don't make it sexual.
Pause.
Nah,
what's her
guys, he's
name?
human. Let him
Show,
cook.
show, Show Rare, the chick with a deep voice, the old lady with a deep ass voice. She's in this movie.
Man, she
Yeah,
sounds like a character. She sounds like a character.
No, I mean, wait.
she's played quite a bunch of people.
No,
Um,
no, I mean like she just sounds like if you were in a movie and you saw this person, you'd be like, nah, that's a character in this movie. This isn't a side character. This one has some camera time.
Wait, are we talking about
she's
the lady
actually
who sounds like
voicing a
she a chain
character.
smoker?
Yeah, bro.
Yo,
Yo,
Hmm.
yo. It's just, I don't know what to say about her because, like, every time I'm listening to her, I'm like, yo, give this lady some more screen time. I want to hear more about her backstory. And yeah,
excuse me,
much choose now.
A backstory.
backstory.
Her
Interesting choice of
backstory or
words.
her backstory?
I have no idea what the difference is, and I'm kind of scared to find out. So please don't tell me.
As the more you fuck around,
the more you're going to find out.
so yeah, let's not go there. But yeah, this movie was directed by Chris McKay. He's the guy that also directed the Lego movie. I was actually the Lego Batman movie, which was quite funny for me to find out. It
That's
was
my mom's
also,
favorite Batman movie ever of all time.
and the person who wrote the story. This was a pitch by Robert Kirkham, the guy behind Invincible and the Walking Dead comic books, and also the TV show. So that's little fact for you guys out there. You
Oh,
know,
that's why it's trash. That makes sense now.
yeah,
Oh,
Damn.
yeah,
nah. Mono, you
yeah.
did not need.
I saw Robert. I saw Robert Kirkham's name, and I was like, I kind of understand why the film is the way it is. I'm not gonna say it's terrible, but I understand why it is the way it is.
I mean, I know what you guys. I saw that Universal logo in the beginning, and I was like, okay, I know what kind of movie this is going to be.
Logos do tell us quite a lot of the movie, but yeah, guys, this is a movie about Dracula and Renfield. Renfield, for those who are into Dracula lore, he's one of his Dracula's servants. In the original like black and white stuff, he's um more of a bitch. He just follows everything Dracula does. But in this movie, it's like it tries to do this different take on Renfield. He's in a toxic relationship. He wants to escape from Dracula's grasp. He wants to live his own life. He wants to stop eating bugs, and he wants to kiss Aquafina because who doesn't? So yeah, we're gonna get into this,
That's a
talk
rhetorical
about it.
question. None of you answer that in the comment section, please. You're not like a comedic genius.
So we're gonna talk about this, guys. Give our thoughts, review on it, like we always do on the Cannibal Podcast. Comment your thoughts down below. It's our podcast. It's your podcast. If you find yourself enjoying the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content. Right? We got a whole lot of stuff in the bandwagon coming up for you guys. We've been gone for a while, but we back.
We
We
are.
back. Yes, we are.
We've been gone. How come I didn't know this?
We were
It,
here
it,
in
it
the first
depends.
place.
Wow. Now,
Touche.
wow, wow, wow. But yeah, so initial thoughts on this movie. I'm not a big fan of like the campy horror stuff. I prefer serious horror, but I decided to check this out. We wanted to make a video about it, so we checked it out, and I like the aesthetic. I'm big on aesthetic. I like the aesthetic of this movie. You know, uh, the how they tap into the New Orleans, because New Orleans is always about like the scary like voodoo vampire stuff. So like I like how they lean into that a bit. Um, and yeah, I think the only thing I can actually like say I really enjoyed about this movie is the aesthetic. um yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just didn't really sit well with me, especially the part where Ben Swatch sniffed a centipede. He
Oh,
sniffed a
calm
centipede.
down,
Saint
man.
George
You
having
and your
totally
centipede
flashbacks on
hatred.
me. Uh,
He sniffed a centipede. Who does that? How do you sniff Satan's lapdog? How do you do that? Anyway,
Let's not ask Lil Nas X that question.
oh
Yeah,
god.
because he was
Oh.
really a Satan's dog.
Bruh.
Oh
Uh,
man. So yeah, guys, okay, what do you guys think about like the relationship between Renfield and Dracula in this movie? Like, what is your thoughts on that? You know, the dynamic and how it works. What
I'm
did
gonna
you
keep it
take away from
short.
it?
I'm not exactly sure what the movie was trying to go for. It feels almost like there was like some sort of like clashing ideas for what they were going for, right? Um, it's a story that has its own history, you know, and a lot of stories that deal with things where it has its own history tend to make characters and people behave in ways that doesn't really feel like they should. An example being that Dracula doesn't come across as a guy who's really ancient, right? It doesn't seem like a
Mm,
guy who's really even interacted with the world around him ever. Just like period. Like it doesn't seem like he's ever spoken to another human being. Um,
Dracula shutting
we
with
get the
his
same
thumbs.
thing. Shut in. He's a neat. Um, we have Renfield being the same, right? Like they say, at some point in the movie, they say he should be at least 70 years old. You don't ever get that feeling, right? And I know some armchair psychologists might look at this and be like, ah, it's because Renfield never got the opportunity to emotionally and mentally mature because of the abusive relationship he has with Dracula. And it's like, yeah, but the movie also tells us he had a family before he knew Dracula. So he should have at least had some level of development that we can see, right? Some opinions, thoughts, and developments that should have like shined through, especially when he got to this moment where he kind of broke free. But we don't see any of that. So I feel like the relationship was it was more like a shut up, this is what the relationship is like and stop thinking about it. Don't ask questions. What we said is law.
yeah. Okay.
I will go next and say, in a more shorter way, the relationship as portrayed from the movie had me feeling lack of sympathy for both abuser and victim, surprisingly. Um, so I'm not sure how much that really tells you about the two of them, because it's
Hmm.
one of those from if you just had to say, hey, this guy's being abused and this guy's the abuser, you already automatically take sides if you have something of a working conscience. And then you learn about the victim and you sort of lose all sorts of sympathy. That is the shortest way I can put it.
I would like to ask though, right, just out of my own curiosity, do you think there would be a way that someone could make a story like this and actually make it like interesting?
I do believe you can, but again, it's just a thing of if you're going to tell me that your victim here is, of course, a victim, right? Don't
Mm-hmm.
have him having this almost false sense of accountability. It's like, yeah, I'm doing bad things, but I didn't want to do this, because there are instances where it's like, yeah, fam, that one you could have chosen not to do that, but you did it anyway. So I don't know. But
I mean,
again,
I don't like in general the way that the story seems to try and make that appeal to. Oh, it's not me who's doing it. It's because like Dracula has a way of manipulating me.
yeah, you know,
It's like I can understand it. I can see that that could be very well an issue that someone like this could face, but you do start to ask yourself that I don't think you ever had a conscience to begin with, Renfield. You quite literally sold your soul to the devil. I'm not sure how many sane people do that.
Not
Precisely.
many. Not many at all.
Except for Sonic the Hedgehog, of course. He would do it in a heartbeat.
In fact, it does.
Yeah, totally.
And Lil
Because
Nas
like
X.
he, yeah, yeah.
Those two, Sonic the Hedgehog and Lil Nas X, do with that information what you will.
Nah,
I would just like to say to our viewers,
call me
I
when,
was unfortunately in an Uber earlier today, and his album was playing, so I'm very much pushing an agenda.
call me when you
This
want.
The new
podcast is
one,
my
or
Me,
album.
like,
call me in the morning. I'll be on the way.
It's
Okay.
the one where I believe he is pregnant on the
Then,
album cover.
Yeah.
ay, ay, ay.
uh,
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
keep it
Colonel,
stepping.
what do you think about the relationship between Dracula and Robert Montague Redfield?
Well, let's see. The thing is, it's kind of complicated. Like, because on one side, I can see like I see where Renfield is coming from. He feels like what you call it, Dracula is like a very abusive person, and in some of the acting and by you know by the genius of
Yeah, I think
Nicolas Cage's
what you're touching on,
acting.
I think what you're touching on, I agree with. It feels like, if what I'm guessing you're getting to is that it feels like there is something there that you can like pull from to be like, oh, this works. But then you see other stuff and you're like, okay, now this contradicts the thing that works. So what now?
Yeah, in cases like this, I probably would have like tried to gone along the route with two things can be true at the same time, but at the same time with this specific situation, I'm thinking, yo, is it really a case of two things can be true? Because it mainly seems like Renfield is blaming Dracula for his actions. Where I'm like, yo, I can actually understand why Dracula's like, nah, bruh, you think I'm the monster? Nah, fam, you the monster. You are the one using me. And I'm like, I can see that. I can understand what you mean.
Now, I would just like to
Let's
clarify, as a established gaslighter myself,
Bruh.
That was a
Dracula
bad
was
gaslight.
working overtime. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Which I just love that scene so much where he be gaslighting Renfield. Like, I'm like, yo, nah, this
I was
it's
looking
kind
at
of
that scene like,
abusive.
yo, like you really like turning the tables are turning, bro.
He did the Uno reverse card. He was like, no, you.
Like for real, like the tables is turned like heavy. I was like, this is a complete 180, bro. He putting this on you. You holding the gun now.
Yeah, yeah,
How did that
And
get in there?
and I feel like it said a lot about Mr. Renfield himself that he didn't have a proper counter argument.
yeah. Because
He just sat there like, and he
didn't
just
he start
took
like
it.
reciting "I deserve to be loved" or something like that?
He just
Yeah,
recited the book, and it's like I thought he was gonna push back and be like, "Nah, look, bro, look, nah, you're not gonna do
because
that, nah.
how are
I
Listen,
you
mean,
spending most of the movie convincing us that you're not bad? And then when your abuser tells you, hey, you're just as bad, you're like, ah, GG's, mate.
yeah, yeah,
I guess
and
I
that
am
was
bad after all.
kind of where the movie lost me, even it lost me even more. I got losser in the movie because like because because
Okay.
nah.
I got losser in the movie because first you get that scene where like, okay, he saves the people in the restaurant. You're like, okay, wow, dude, like yeah, we don't get many people like that around here, like a hero, right? You okay, little Montague's like finding his feet here, he's finding a new purpose. And then you get this whole 180 later on where it's like actually he's not that much of a good guy, bro. Like just take a look at it. And I was like, damn, okay, nah, like yeah, this is you lost me. I'm confused now.
Yeah,
I also don't like the notion that he doesn't even like make any attempt to defend himself, like just in general, doesn't make like any attempt to like because one of the things that's what I mean when I like alluded to earlier on where I said that like you get something you're like oh this really works. I think that you've got something going here now. If you develop this further, we could have a real story, and then you do something later to contradict that. Earlier on in the movie, we see this guy get his like guts ripped out by Dracula. Dracula's like, "Hey, you listen to me, you idiot. I'm the one in charge. Bring me some cheerleaders." Right? And then he heals him. So it's like you're under this impression that it's like if Renfield doesn't listen to Dracula, he dies. Now, obviously, there's still some moral shenanigans going on here because Renfield's like, oh man, I don't want to die. You guys understand, right? You audience members. I'm the good guy. I'm the one who's being abused. If I
You
don't
live
do
for
this, I
90
die.
years.
Right? So it's like there is still stuff there that it's like you kinda go, "Ugh," but again, it's something that you can work with. But then later on, Dracula's like, no, you're the bad guy. And Renfield doesn't say, bro, you tried to gut me this morning. Like,
None
how
of
am I
that.
the bad guy?
I thought we were gonna get like this a discussion like that between them, but it's like no, actually, you know what, guys? Renfield is the bad guy, and he's a bad person. And it's like, so now what? Yeah, he's not good or bad. He kills people. Excuse me?
She just kills people randomly. He's not a villain or a hero.
It's and what was the? I thought the ska music plot point was going somewhere. It doesn't go anywhere.
You see, before we recorded, I was saying that this story really feels like one where they really want to convince you that each of the characters has something going on in their life. So they try and make it almost like this breathed and lived in world, right? It's like it's got texture to it. But then it's like that just felt like random nonsense. What am I supposed to do with this
Ain't that the
information?
one with the trumpets? That is a huge
Oversimplification.
oversimplification of the type of
Oh
music.
my
Who the
gosh.
hell am I?
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
just want to
it's
know, like,
okay.
how does everyone in this, okay, maybe not everyone, but how do a lot of people in this movie know what Scar is? I mean,
That's
I'm
a,
I'm
that's the thing,
I'm
right? It's like
saying like
is it an inside joke? Am I missing something? Did the writers room all like listen to this like I don't get what's going on.
bro, the only piece of ska music I've ever heard is Feels by Calvin Harris. And that song kept playing in my head while I was watching this movie. Thanks to them talking about ska the whole time. And I was like, okay, what's with this inside joke? And there's even the thing where they were going to that warehouse where Renfield fought Apache, and there were spray tags with orange spray tags of ska music lyrics, and I was like, where is this going? And it doesn't go anywhere. So that was kind of weird.
okay, so back to the
And
point
it's
between the
somehow not the
relationship
weirdest thing
between,
in this movie.
well, now,
No, I was just saying it's somehow not even the weirdest thing about this movie. Because I would love to
Facts.
rant later on about that end scene.
Okay.
Mm.
now I just wanted to
Hmm.
get back to my point about the relationship between Renfield and Dracula. I think it's like a situation where both people feel kind of like they are being hurt, where like in reality they are, I guess they are hurting each other, but from each person's
I
perspective,
beg your
they're like,
pardon.
I beg your pardon.
nah, fam, I'm the one who's being hurt. I'm not hurting him. I'm
I
hurt. If I
beg
am
your
hurting him,
pardon.
Bro, Dracula was the guy who
I
told him, "Do you
beg
think
your
you can hurt
pardon.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I want to know in what way was Dracula being hurt here?
me?" He was like, "Do you think you can hurt me?"
Nah, remember that scene?
yeah,
That scene where Dracula was like, "Oh, I'm so sad, Renfield. You've hurt my feelings
yeah, that's how
because
that's what I mean. Like,
I eat little boys as well. I don't just eat girls."
oh,
I am
Don't
oh
sorry.
make
yeah,
this a
How
sex
when
thing.
he was like saying,
how
"Oh,
great
Renfield,
and
don't make it
powerful,
sexual."
immortal.
Oh, bruv, what did? Anywho, um, what can I? What was I saying?
You were saying both of them are victims.
Yeah, at least from what I could like gather, I was like thinking like, okay, from their perspective, like the reason why they quote unquote hurt each other is because like they think, okay, now this one's hurting me, I'm gonna hurt them back. But at the same time, I, and this the relationship is way too complicated to like say, nah, one's the
He's
victim.
about to say something very wild. Just wait for it, guys. He's about to say something real wild.
What's wilder than
Uh,
Dracula being a victim here?
I
Nah,
guess the
wait for it,
wilder thing
bro.
would be
wait
me
for it,
victim
bro.
blaming. The Renfield got himself into the situation. I'm
Nah, that's victim blame, bro.
Oh, that's
What
victim
were you
blaming.
thinking?
Whoa,
What were
whoa.
you thinking, bro?
Yeah.
I
You
think
you probably said that R. Kelly didn't do it, right? Like he was a victim too.
Bro,
Da-da-da-da.
did you see how he was fighting for his life, though? Come on,
yeah,
think about
man,
it.
come on, man believes he can fly. I mean, he touched the sky, but anyway. So
Anyhow, go on, Koro.
yeah, like I was trying to say, Renfield isn't exactly blameless in this whole situation, which I guess he does touch upon late in the movie, where he's like, nah, I chose to do these things. You didn't have to manipulate me, which I kind of thought, that was
Goes nowhere. That goes nowhere. It's just sort of like a thing that I feel like they made him say so that the audience can't be like, oh, this guy's a bad person.
mm, yeah. But even if it went nowhere, I just like the fact that he, acknowledge, quote unquote, acknowledges it that nah, I too had a part to play in this. I'm not blameless in this at all. So at least there's that.
No, I don't think you should even give it props for being acknowledged, right? There's other stories that have stuff like this acknowledged and they do it way better, right? You could like it's one of those things like moments captured in like a bottle that you just look at and you're like, man, this is pretty cool. But then if you see it in context, you also say, oh, this is even cooler, right? Like Thanos being like, oh, perhaps I treated you harshly. Where it's just like, damn, like that's kind of cool, right? Like, and that's him kind of acknowledging like things he said about Thor in the past.
Wasn't that
Mm,
Nebula he was talking to?
Bruh.
Was it Nebula?
Yeah, I could have sworn it was
yes.
Nebula.
It was
My
Nebula.
bad. My bad. But like point being is like that's a moment that you can capture, right? And think, oh, that's cool, right? You can even meme with it. But like when Renfield is acknowledging, oh no, I'm actually just also as bad. No one in the movie ever like kind of goes on to him to say, yeah, you are just as bad, right? We even have Aquafina just tell him at the end, no, bro, you're a good person. You should teach people stuff like this. It's like, this guy can rip people from limb. He does it quite literally. And you're like, oh, he's a good guy. Like, what?
When
Uh,
she did say that he's not a good hero or villain, he just kills people.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's like, I don't think just acknowledging it is enough. Like, you didn't do even the bare minimum. You had a character
And
say,
and
I'm the bad guy. And then the
I
rest of the
like
movie is like, no, you're not.
I like what he said. Look, I know if everything's over and we won and stuff, but I still think I should do my time, pay for the crimes I've committed. Like, basically alluding to you should take me in and let me like do my time. And she's like, nah, dude, like you've earned this. You get to live your life. Like go out there. You need to be outside. And it's like,
Yeah, she just speaks on behalf of all the
ah,
victims over the past 70 years. She's like, nah, bro, don't worry about it. We all
aren't you
forgive
this?
you.
It's like, aren't you the same person who wanted revenge for your daddy?
he-
Nah.
Like,
Don't you get it, bro? Renfield's a good guy. He's a good person.
Stand up citizen.
mhm.
very stand up. Yeah. But
So, yeah.
so yeah, like there's this like scene where it's most the AA scene, where everyone's talking about their toxic relationships. That's when we get the first mention of the ska music thing. Caitlin's talking about how her boyfriend Mitch is he's just toxic, he's abusive and stuff like that. Um, and Renfield decides to like go and help her by killing Mitch and then taking Mitch as food for Dracula. But
Yeah, like he basically goes into talking about like, oh, he's looking for victims for Dracula and he's going to almost in a way, the way he implies it is serve up justice by taking these douchebags and giving them their
yeah,
comeuppance.
think of it like in the Venom movies where like Eddie's telling Venom, "Oh, we only eat bad people," and then they helping people by doing that. But it's like, I mean, he's still murdering. But
Rehabilitation just not a thing we consider anymore.
Yep.
Or due process.
Just like
at all,
off with their heads.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
why even give them a chance to like redeem themselves?
exactly. So let's
Not like
actually
it's not
get
like
into
Renfield has been doing this for 70 years, right? But this rich guy, he's gotta go.
You gotta go.
Yeah, 'cause we need to eat, Eddie. Anyway,
Why was that so
oh
accurate?
man.
Hold on a second, bro. Have you been practicing?
Hold on. Why don't you Eminem music? What's going on?
okay, never mind. Let's just go on.
Let's actually
Um,
talk about Aquafina's character, right?
no,
Officer
let's not. Let's not do it,
Officer
please.
Quincy, Rebecca Quincy.
I think you mean
I'm so
Um,
Officer
sick and tired of
Cringe.
this trope, man. Queen Shia.
she's a cop whose father was also a cop and was killed by the mob in the movie, the
I'm
crime
sick of this
family in the
trope.
movie, the Lobo family. And she's trying to get justice by bringing them, the family, crime family,
And
bringing the
she feels
operation down.
underappreciated and she wants to get into the action, but she can't get into the action because she's doing parking tickets, and she's doing stop and goes, and oh, I'm not where I need to be. I'm not realizing my full potential, guys. I'm a good cop who can do good cop things. Man,
Hmm.
stop doing this, bro. Make a new cop character. Why is this every single time that there's this cop who's like, oh, I can do big things, guys?
But nobody's listening to her, and she's sweating everybody out in the workplace because
Uh,
that's a good thing to do at work. Just swear everyone
Comedy.
out. Uh,
But it really
and
just brings up the question, right? Imagine being a low tier cop who just does, parking tickets and stuff, and you think
And
I'm
somebody
doing a
just
good
tells you,
job.
you're crap. Your job
Yeah,
sucks. You're not doing anything for the world.
the one day out
imagine
of the week you get off, you decide I'm gonna go watch this movie, and that movie tells you, yeah, fam, your job pointless.
Your purpose non-existent.
that is painful.
Despite in the movie, her like her actually being there is what leads to her arresting Teddy Lobo. I'm like, yo, are you kind of defeating your own purpose here? Because you're like saying, nah, this part of the job sucks. Nothing happens. Can't be something happens there right next, like the next but not the same scene.
For
So
our audience, I think I should clarify Terry Lobo is the useless son of a crime organization we know nothing about.
Played by Ben Schwartz.
Whom we
Schwartz.
also know nothing about.
yo, nah. I mean, technically true, but yeah.
Mans did that on purpose. He wanted to get that insult
I'm
in.
sorry, you said that with just too much gusto. I had to just add a wrench in there.
Okay, so
Uh,
enough of the Sonic slander. So let's just continue.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess let's just hop into it, right? What do you guys think about that the scene where the guys are stealing the drugs and then they're like, oh, switch the lights off, or someone switches the light off, and all that kind of stuff. I like the tone that they were trying to set. With like Renfield kind of being genuinely confused, like, okay, who do you think I am? But at the same time, I was like, why does he care? Like, he's here to kill these guys. Why is he like engaging in conversation and stuff?
Yeah, that to me that was kind of weird because if maybe because I'm thinking of this like too logically, like he's supposed to be like a veteran at this thing, so he would like probably like
I mean, he's been doing this for 70 years according to the film, so I guess that's at least a safe assumption to just say like at least 70 years.
yeah, he's supposed to be a veteran and like correct me if I'm wrong, but if you like been doing this for a long time, you're probably like jaded at this point where you'd be like, do I really care for their life story? I mean, probably a lot of them are gonna tell me the same thing. I have a family. Oh no, guys, please don't kill me. I have babies at home. Something along those lines. But then
I'm
again,
now
it
being remembering that freezer from Team Four Star. It's like it's
Yeah,
always the same things.
exactly. Where he's like, he even goes about like making mental notes of like how many times he's heard certain phrases in certain ways.
Wasn't there a movie where Villa also said that, like, yeah, why does everyone I go after tell me that they have a family?
Ultron.
Justice League.
No, Steppenwolf. My gosh.
Yeah, it
Please,
was
why do you have
him.
to bring him up?
Yeah, I was
He's a
him.
cool villain, guys. Did you see how many spikes he had on his armor? Oh, that was so awesome.
I will rebuttal that statement with one word. Mother.
Oh God.
Uh,
Yo, nah.
no, but remember when he was like primitive beings? He was so like, oh,
Mother.
I
She
remember when
calls
he,
for
he
me.
he put his hand in the sand and the Snyder cut, and people thought it was his foot that he was dipping into the sand. That was wild.
damn. But remember when he was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Darkseid, I betrayed you. Speaking of bad dialogue, let's keep moving.
Yeah. So the scene with the lights off, and
Yeah.
Renfield asking them, "Who does? Who
Basically,
do?"
they misunderstand. They think Renfield is out there to kill them for stealing the drugs from the Lobo family.
Yeah,
Is
Yeah.
that who they saw it from? I'm not
Yeah.
yeah,
clear.
from the
Alright.
logos.
Yeah.
Alright. So then, like,
Hmm.
Renfield walks in and they're like, "Oh, bro, like, we didn't mean to steal it. You can take the drugs back. Miscellaneous drugs. We don't know what it is. It's cocaine. But YouTube, like, we're not talking about stuff like that.
We talk about Nesquik.
Yeah. So they like, hey, and that's another thing I like. I like the way that sometimes this movie looks at tropes. and decides to kind of just flip them on the head. Where it's like the guy is just like, "Oh, bro, we can just like," he's like, "You've taken something that you can never give back," and they were like, "Nah, bro, we can't give it back." It's like, "Yeah, take it, bro. Like you can have it." You can have it. That feels like a
Uh,
kind of city sketch, right? Where it's like edgy anime characters be like, and then this plays out. But it seems that that is the format of joke in this film. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but it feels more like sketches in a film. It doesn't actually feel like it's part of the story.
you know when comedy these days, like in movies, don't hit like the same. So when someone makes a joke, it usually like just it falls flat for me. It's like, okay, that was a joke. It's not
I
funny, but
recognize that was
it's
supposed to
nice.
be funny, but I didn't laugh.
Yeah, I don't have much thoughts for this scene though. You guys can go ahead.
What about the action? You think that like, because I mean, I don't
Oh,
know,
oh,
man.
oh, oh. One thing I want to say: the choreography for the fights, pretty okay, pretty okay. Yeah, I think it was pretty
My
okay.
question is just what was with the chloroform?
Yeah, I don't know why
The
he
what?
did any of that. They
The
say they even
chloroform.
have like these dynamic camera angles, right? Where
Oh,
it's like they show the camera kind of tilting to the side, and he's like taking the vaslap or whatever the cloth, and he's like putting the chloroform on it.
In case our viewers were ever curious about what country we are currently hosting from, there's your answer.
For those of you who don't know, this is Afrikaans.
oh.
Vas means wash, and lap means cloth. So it's just a washing cloth,
This
loosely.
schedule is the bus.
But for our loyal fans, most of normal South Africa uses the word lappy. I do not know why this man had to go with vaslap.
I'm not a normal like citizen of South Africa, bro.
Oh man.
But yeah, so like I don't like they have this whole like dynamic angle that kind of gives us implication that he's done this quite often. You know, like if you
Mm-hmm.
notice, even in the fight, like there's one point where he throws it into the air, like and he does like this thing where the guy falls and the guy falls into it, and it's like, oh, that
That
was
was
so
kind of
cool.
doing too much for me. That was kind of doing too much. I was like, yo, relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you already knocked the dude
Um.
out. Like, why you want to like knock him out
Even
even
when
further?
the fight scene, at the restaurant, when the fork like flew up, I was like, let me guess, he's gonna catch it and stab someone. He caught it and stabbed someone. Okay.
I mean, I don't
He
even know
really
if that
likes
was
to have like
stabbing.
miscellaneous items.
He tried to pull that man's neck apart.
And
And I
he
mean, like that's the
still
thing,
walked out
right?
alive.
He should be very capable of doing so because he does it quite often, where he just like rips people to pieces. But then sometimes he just doesn't for whatever reason. Like I don't know if you like. I'm not again. Y'all know I'm not the guy and the guy who advocates for like really like extreme gore and stuff like that. But this story shows him capable of doing stuff. But sometimes he punches a person and they just go, "Oh, my jaw! Oh no, I'm gonna keep fighting now." And it's like, why didn't
Yeah.
you just punch that guy's head off? You don't have any regard for human life. You literally don't care.
In later
And
scenes,
I would
he
like to
gets a
also
point.
ask a
Oh, my
question.
organs.
And this is something a lot of movies seem to have a weird thing about. Intent versus what is acted upon. Like, he comes with the chloroform, which obviously you get the impression that okay, this man doesn't want to hurt anyone, he just wants to put them to sleep, which is
Yeah,
fine. But
yeah,
if y'all remember, there's a guy who he breaks the guy's knee and then applies the chloroform cloth, which I was then
Yeah.
like, I mean, at this point, what the heck, bro?
Nah, I'm just gonna say.
it doesn't even seem like he needs to bring them back alive. Like
Yeah.
it's that was like almost the thing that made it sound like he had to bring them back alive.
I also, yeah, got like I was like, does he have to bring him back alive, or like can't they just be? I don't know. What is this?
Because it's weird. In the fight, he
And
switches between subtly just trying to incapacitate to, oh, I'm just going to break this limb real quick.
and rip
Yeah,
your arms off,
and punch someone's head off.
Which
and
in
then
that
throw
case,
your
just,
arm as
yeah,
with your
just punch
cast.
them hard enough to knock them out. You've got the strength.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Apache shows up and the fight commences further. We get introduced to our main man, Sonic the High Hog.
Yeah. Teddy Lobo. He apparently sends the Apache hitman inside to kill the people that stole the cocaine. but Apache meets the person who's killing them already, which is Renfield, and then they have a fight. Um,
Maybe I'm a
which
bit too
Renfield
innocent or
conquers.
something, but they were like talking about like, oh, his name is racist. I'm not American. I don't know what about his name is racist. Could someone maybe like enlighten me? Like, because clearly this was like supposed to be a joke. It's like, hey, look, he kills people with knives. I'm not going to tell him his name is racist. And I was like, that's supposed to be a joke,
I think it
but
was
I
he
don't
cuts
know
people's tongues
what's
out with
racist.
knives.
It doesn't matter. Like it's not a clever lie. It's like, oh, he cuts people's tongues out with knives. Like, as opposed to what? What was he supposed to cut their tongues out with? Like, what is the usual tool we would use to cut tongues out with that doesn't need it to be specified?
I also don't really understand what the joke was supposed to be. Apache people, almost the Indians, the Indian Americans. Um, is him using the name racist? Is that why? And Teddy Lobo doesn't want to tell him it's racist because he doesn't want to get his tongue cut off. Like, what's being implied here? I was like, you made a joke, but I don't get it.
Anyways, it's just
Yeah,
an example of sometimes where it's like, man, this is like a very culture thing. It's like probably if you were in America, you would know what he means, but maybe the rest of the world is just like that. Probably is a joke.
the pain of reviewing American movies. Anyway, I like Teddy's car. It's a pretty cool car. Just throw it out there. But
They
yeah,
drive it later on, right? They
yeah, they do.
My
take
They
it.
take it
Chemical
as
Romance.
evidence.
Na 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 na. Whew.
You're gonna get us
Okay,
copyright struck.
they're gonna recognize the rhythm.
Damn. Oh man. Oh wow. Childhood nostalgia.
But let's get into like speaking of fights and like abilities, Dracula's abilities and how they work. Like how
Yeah, I guess we'll
sometimes
talk
he
about
just
that.
seems incredibly strong and powerful and scary, but other times like actually we can just punch his face broken.
And he will sit there and let it happen.
Yeah, you know. Other times Renfield can't fight this guy, but other times Renfield can slug this guy to the ground. Like
And I mean, I'm always the kind of guy who asks about like utility, right? Like, what's the actual differences between things, and why would you use one thing as opposed to another thing, right? He can turn into like mist and stuff, or turn into bats. Why would you ever turn into bats? Like, that seems like the dumbest option to ever use, right? Like, why not always turn into mist?
Okay, I'm not sure this is like a good answer to it, but the way I um understand it, but mainly because of this is what I've seen. The must one is mainly used for travel, but the bad one is used for travel and hurting someone. Because I mean, you see the way he moved when.
He explodes a guy in the beginning by transforming into mist and entering his body. I don't think that like that matters.
Damn, I forgot about that scene. Okay, my bad. I take back what I said. That bad thing is dumb.
Like, he literally enters someone.
Yeah. Well, pause. Pause.
uh oh my god. Yeah,
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, no,
we
I'm
can.
phoning someone. Person I'm on the phone with, can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard his phone vibrating. I guess we
Yeah, I just
could
wanted to
come.
personally tell you that you're
Oh,
spewing nonsense right now. Have a good day. Bye.
I mean,
All
you
right.
know what? I can agree. I don't know what they said, but I'm on your side.
No, I was phoning the colonel.
Ah.
Nah, that's
I
bad.
had to
We
personally let him know that he was spewing
The-
crap.
my main point about this is just that there's one ability that he can transform into something and fly around. What is bats? And the other one is mist. But like, I don't know what the difference is supposed to be between them. Like, because when he gets hit by the light later on in the movie, closer to the end, he gets hit by like the sunlight, right? They open
yeah,
the
the
thing, and
the
then like,
blind.
damn.
Uh,
yeah. But anyway,
Only
going on, right? It just seems that like maybe the bats is better for travel because he seems to do the bats to travel more often. Like when he leaves his lair at the abandoned hospital, he transforms into bats as opposed to mist. So maybe the mist is like when you're playing a game
faster.
when you do the dodge mechanic, or when you need to like rush up to an enemy, so you tap the dodge button to get closer to them. It seems like that's like what you would use the mist for, whereas like the bats would be like gliding in like Arkham games.
Yeah. Ooh, memories. Arkham games. But
But yeah, no.
yes,
What other powers does he display
he
other than super strength,
displays the ability to
regeneration?
grow
Being
fangs.
able to communicate with
Uh,
Renfield, which
yeah. Any of his familiars, I
yeah,
guess,
And it seems
like
to be
keep in
almost
mind.
implied that he has some level of mind control telepathy
Yeah, like some sort of suggestion, hypnotic suggestion.
compulsion.
yeah, that's
And
the
also
thing that gets me
telekinesis.
confused about like why this movie is able to happen. Because like in my head, the way it works, like if he's able to like communicate with Renfield telepathically, and also if like his familiars instinctually know to call him master, even though they've like never had a conversation with him other than like what I mean,
I mean, who's like there to sign the contract to be like, now you are familiar.
mhm. Yeah, because it seems like that kind of power, if it's used properly, would like prevent any of your familiars to actually attack you. Sure, they might harbor these thoughts, but they cannot attack you because like instinctually they are bound to you. So
Like like involuntarily like a muscle response where it's like you try to stab him but you just
I
can't.
really thought you were gonna talk about what's this guy Draco from Black Widow. Like you smell him, and you can't do nothing.
yeah, I was legit thinking about that now, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm now also thinking of Vampire Diaries, where the originals, the oldest vampires to ever exist, by the way, they have their like sire bloodline where, oh my god,
I like how you flexed your fan card real quick just there, but keep going.
Like I don't even know if that's supposed to be a fictional
You
fan, but
wild
like
for
I'm
that.
also aware of the mythos. But like they are called the originals, bro. Like I
Like
think
you
it's
wild
in
for
the
that.
name.
let me just explain, guys. Damn.
Go
Anyway,
ahead.
they have
Yeah,
this,
sire
yeah, they
bloodlines.
have the sire bloodlines, and if you kill the original, you kill the entire bloodline, the sire bloodline. So I'm just like thinking that maybe it's because I have that kind of knowledge that made me think, okay, Renfield is not supposed to be able to kill him, and if he does, he also dies. So maybe it's just that's affecting my uh, reasoning, or at least it's my bias.
I'm not even sure, right? It seems to be implied from this film that there's just no way to kill Dracula. Like even exposure to sunlight can't actually kill him because Renfield decides to dice him up into cubes and throw him into the sewer. It's like, I mean, why not throw him outside in the sun?
Hmm.
Oh, or like for me in that scene, I kind of I don't know if you guys like felt this, but in the beginning, right, they put him in a protection circle, and they're about to like exorcise him, right, or like do something to like banish him. I thought they were
And
gonna
it's
do that in
implied
the
that
end.
he could die from this.
Yeah, but I thought they were gonna do that in the end, but they don't. They decide to beat his ass and cut him into cubes. Like, so he might come back. Why risk that?
Is
Why
what
just like
Renfield even says. Renfield's like, nah, this might not even do anything, but hey, who cares, right? This is the end of the
who
movie.
cares, dude?
Oh,
This is such a
that
weird thing.
reminds me. His blood. How does that work? Because I mean, the way a lot of like vampire mythos works, you need the enzymes or like from the saliva or their blood to be able to turn you into a vampire. So I'm just wondering why it's just this this like what's this like I guess like a phoenix down type spell. Like if you like
It seems to be.
yeah, it's like if you injured, don't worry, Dracula's blood got you covered. It's like like as Renfield says, his health insurance. That's why is my
I mean, if you're dead, you can use Dracula blood as well. It's like, and there seems to be no
Yo,
real repercussions.
okay, which was
that was so confusing because for me, I was under the impression that like only if you injured and you take his blood, you can heal. I didn't know his blood can actually bring people from like back to
And it
life.
doesn't seem to be like there's an expiry date on that. You could be dead for like a week and it's fine.
hmm
I feel like that was like an excuse for them just to bring back the friend group,
We'll
the
get to
support
that.
group
which
people.
maybe
We'll
Yeah.
if
get
you
to that.
guys know this, but I kind of felt like they were like making a little nod to one of the characters, I have a character in another role. if you guys don't know this, I'm specifically referring to the counselor. That dude has another role in another show called, wait, what's it called? Damn, I think it's called Ghosts or The Ghosts. Anyway, it's like this American version of the show Ghosts UK, or is the UK version the American version? I get confused which version came first, but anyway, the show's called Ghosts. There was a
I'm
ghost in
confused too.
there, so boom. I'm just saying. I caught the reference. Just saying.
But yeah, Dracula, like his powers were really like. I feel like this is a thing that I don't know what you think, Colonel, but like, do you think like in movies these days, writers seem to not know how to just use a character's abilities in interesting ways, or like they forget how something works? We can give a recent example, like across the Spider Verse, where a lot of times, like Miles' spider sense stops going off. He forgets he can turn invisible. He forgets he's got a venom blast. It's like, do you think this is a common? Do you think this is a pattern happening with these with movies nowadays, or do you think maybe it's just
I mean,
you
I
know?
wouldn't. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that, but I think it's more like they forget the implication of a character having these certain powers. Like the implication of Dracula having the powers he has is that this whole movie should not be able to take place, or at least from my thinking of it, specifically the way he's
Mm.
able to communicate with his familiars. With that,
Now, for the sake of argument, could I present a sort of devil's advocate kind of thing?
sure, go
Go
for
ahead.
it.
Okay, so if I were to hypothetically just say that, like, okay, so what if the way that the movie shows us the things work, that's how it works, right? Dracula can communicate the way that he does, but he can't do it all the time, evidenced by the fact that he doesn't do it all the time.
Mm.
Like, what would you say then in response to that? Do you think that that could be like a valid way to look at it? That yeah, he can communicate with Renfield, but there's some sort of thing that we aren't aware of as to why he doesn't do it all the time.
Yeah, that does make sense. Like, wait, what am I saying? I guess, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I just wonder about that because one of the things that makes me wonder in the movie specifically is that Dracula has existed before Renfield and has been Dracularing before then. So like, it seems as though this movie is kind of almost presenting the idea that he cannot actually exist independently. Ironically,
That he needs a familiar.
like he needs people to work for him so that he can like do his thing.
You need people like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, I probably noticed that too in the back of my mind. It's like he needs like someone to. I'm not going to use this term because it will sound wrong, but he needs someone to leech off of. Yeah, I was going to use a different term.
To suck off.
I was going to say
hose.
that, but he didn't hear it from me. He didn't hear it from me.
Anyways, I'm gonna jump a couple of scenes, going to the police station scene, right? So,
Go ahead.
for to set the scene to the audience, right? Terry Lobos has now been arrested. He witnessed Renfield, battling it out with Mitch and Doug. Is the other guy right? Doug,
Yes.
right? Mitch and Doug got attacked by Renfield, and then the Apache guy came and started like gutting Renfield, and like Teddy saw all this happening, and he then saw Apache get his head punched straight off, and understandably tried to get the hell out of there. And he then bumps into Aquafina's character, and he now realizes, oh snap, I've got cocaine in my car and I can't let the police see this. For some reason, he feels urgency from that, despite being like, do you know who I am? And knowing himself that his family like runs this entire town, right? Like, and that the police are all corrupt. He seems to, for some reason, still feel that he needs to run away, which he doesn't like show this behavior ever again in the film. Weird.
Mm-hmm.
But he runs away. It's all shenanigans, very slapstick, funny. He throws a guy with cocaine, haha, and he gets arrested, right? And it starts confessing when he gets to the police station. He just starts confessing about stuff. No one's asking him nothing. It's like again, like what's going on? Is he the type? Okay, that's his personality, I guess. And we have Aquafina being like, "Oh, you guys are corrupt. If you all, you guys suck."
Yeah,
Because he gets to go free, right? Teddy gets to go free.
yeah,
What's your
because
guys'
his
thoughts
lawyer.
about like any of these events that I've just like gone over, even just like the overarching corrupt cops theme? Like, do you think it works? Do you think it doesn't? Why?
I'll let the gents go ahead.
I mean, I'll
I don't
wait
really
then.
have much right now. Uh,
I,
No
I mean,
thoughts, no thoughts. Well, for me, I was looking at that and
okay, rather you go first, George, and then I'll build on you. I think that's gonna work easier.
I'm trying to get to a specific point here, which is the relationship between her and her sister. But I felt I need to give this context first because that's sort of why they are seemingly at odds with one another.
the whole thing of him fleeing the scene and then like uh I just thought it was them trying to lay the groundwork of like how he's a coward, you know.
He's the unreliable like bum of the family.
Yeah, like he's the one who is the inheritance will be entrusted to him, but like he was raised too soft and he can't handle the dirty work. And oh, look how he's a cow, he's running from the cops. He's confessing everything. His lawyer shows up and now he's acting tough. He's saying he didn't say a word when he blurted out literally everything. So I thought, okay, this is them laying the groundwork for how this guy, um, he just sucks. He's probably gonna die or something.
Minor follow up question. Anyone can answer then. What do you guys think about comedy that is at the expense of established things or things that will be established later? Such as what I just said, that he never displays this behavior ever again.
I do not like comedy, and I've said this a lot before, a lot during the Hazam video. I said this. I said that I do not like comedy that is done at the expense of the story or the consistency of the plot. I don't think it's I don't think it's a wise thing to do. Like it's like shooting yourself in the foot. That's my take on it.
Okay.
For
Anybody
me,
else?
it's what's the word here? Lazy is not the right word. It's more. I don't know. It's like a self disservice because you're essentially trying to add a haha into something that doesn't need it. It's like you weren't going for the intent of funny, but you thought it needed a funny, so squeeze in a funny.
Thor Love and Thunder wants to know your location.
Exactly. Where us as the audience are sitting like, okay, so what was this supposed to be? And I'm sure the writer themselves would be like, I don't know. I just thought it needed to be there.
It felt
And
like it
so
was a bit dry. We thought we would do something.
yeah, so it's like please laugh, and we just like at what though?
And this, it's so funny.
And anything to say about the corrupt cops?
Hmm.
Man,
Well,
that one's
oh, is Kentucky going first?
no. You can go. You can go.
I mean, if you want to go, you can. I do ride your coattails up for you.
This is not the time to be coitus. Just go for it.
Okay, very well, then I shall go. So the thing about this corrupt situation is, if it seems like everyone in that police precinct is the corrupt, well, is corrupt and under the payroll of the Lobos. So, like, one of my questions is, why are they trying to have Rebecca Queen she be like this lone ranger, where realistically speaking, she would either be placed in like how do I say, like a dead end position, which I guess she kind of is. But also, if I were like someone in the slope, okay, maybe not me. Yeah, I'm just gonna take back that statement before it gets out of hand. Anyway, what I was gonna say is that
Hmm.
she, if she was let to roam, if she was let alone to roam, to cause trouble all the time, she would eventually get put down or get taken care of somehow, some way. And it doesn't seem like that's happening. So I'm like, okay, why are you guys just letting her do all these things? I mean, sure, you have like the power and the money. Well, I guess not the. I mean, like you said,
Are you essentially trying to get to the point of like maybe saying something to the effect of that if everyone is corrupt, why are they like putting on airs that like or pretending that they're not and like trying to make her life difficult instead of just removing her from the equation?
Yeah. Damn, thanks,
Because
bro.
it would make sense if they did this, I think, right? If they did this, what like trying to like basically put her in dead end positions all the time and kind of making it seem like she's incompetent and stuff. If maybe the head honcho at the cops wasn't corrupt, but quite a lot of the ones below him were corrupt, right? That it's like it's still like a system that's trying to do its best to uphold the law, but the people who are, working, they cannot do so.
Damn, thanks, Mano. You always know what to say when I can't.
Bruh.
No, I
Shring.
was just trying to see if I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah, you know me so well.
But yeah, yeah, let's say
Yeah.
that.
So the whole corruption thing, like I said, like off air with you guys, like organized crime, in stories is a pretty like it's intriguing. Don't get concerned, viewers. It in stories, it's intriguing. That type of stuff.
My
So
lawyer said I must say this is fiction.
this is fiction, okay? Like I'm not trying to like I'm not I don't say so like it's interesting just how deep it goes and like how they can just like how much they can do or get away with, because they got money or they got connections, stuff like that. Um
Hmm.
yeah, that was just my take on it. I just found it interesting, but I didn't look too much into it, so I can't comment much
Okay.
on that
Well,
aspect of the
anyway,
movie.
the point I'm trying to build up to here being that we then find that Rebecca meets her sister, right? And they have the weirdest like exchange I've seen in quite a while where they first talk. Like movies do this very often and I'm not sure why. Like I don't know how many audience members feel very satisfied when this is employed, let alone this way, where it's like these two characters talk to each other, and you as the audience are like, oh, these are characters who are talking to each other now. And it's like, then it's revealed, no, they are siblings and they knew each other all along. Like this happens in movies all the time. Like it would be one guy going to like the cinema and he sits down next to somebody else and the camera pans to that other person. Then he says, Robert. Another one says, Grant. And then they both sit there and it's like, oh, they know each other. They were actually here to meet one another. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what movies do this. I don't know what you're trying to achieve by making it seem like these characters don't know each other because like they start talking about, oh, dad died and you've been doing nothing about it. And then like the sister's like, you're not the only one who lost a dad. It's like what are y'all doing?
Dialogue,
Like
everybody.
this is what I normally think about when I'm thinking about like bad exposition because couldn't they have like edited off simply? Maybe they felt that the audience wouldn't have understood that they are siblings from that interaction. That's why they made it as overt as possible, right? They like took a bat, wrote on the bat sisters, and then smacked you over the head with it, right? Um, because it's like could they not have had something like with Aquafina's character maybe saying something to the effect of like you left us at home, and like our dad's dead. You haven't acknowledged that ever, not once. Like something like that, and then just have her leave. Like they didn't have to have the conversation further, just to have her almost in this moment of
Yeah.
frustration, take out her anger on her sister and then dip, right? So that we have that payoff at the end where she kind of feels guilty about her actions leading her sister where it did. Like I felt like you could have done something there at least.
I
I'm by no means saying my suggestion is the most optimal and ideal. I'm just like saying that like it should have at least been better than what we got.
Yeah, no, I like when stories like subtly I like when they subtly like imply certain things about characters' pasts or how what their relationship is in small like detailed like stuff that they say, right? Like
Hmm.
I don't know, or maybe let's take this for example, they siblings, right? Um Maybe she beats her in the hallway, right? It's like, oh, how's that case going? It's a dead end, but there was something about dad when he was working on cases. He always used to find a way to just, find a breakthrough in like a couple of days. Yeah, great cop he
Hmm.
was. And then, yeah, we go from there. Then we talk about this. It's like subtle, not like weird dialogue where it's like you say things that normal people wouldn't really say, but in an organic way, you just explain what happened in the past, what is the connection between these two characters, what are their likes and maybe stuff like that, and then you know immediately as an audience member, okay, this is what's going on. I think that it's quite seamless.
Yeah, and the thing with the scene where Aquafina's talking to her sister, I mean Aquafina's character is talking to her sister. I feel like they wanted that to be like a serious moment, but as soon as that scene was done, or at least as soon as they were done talking, the way Aquafina was walking just like ruined the whole tension for me specifically. Because I'm like, she was just walking like a child, turning around to see if she's looking. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Aren't you mad? Like, why trying to look at the back? Like, and her sister is none the wiser. She's just walking on, and I'm like, yo, is this supposed to be a joke? Because it's not funny. You just ruined the moment. I feel like sometime wait, I guess this was a point made earlier. It's kind of like going back to the point where you were guys were saying that if they were making jokes to that come at the expense of the movie, I
The
guess.
story or characters.
Yeah. Um, and this felt like one of those moments to me where like, okay, this did not need to happen. It actually undercuts the entire tension that you were trying to build up to. But I guess that's just me.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah, no, it that does happen quite often in these kinds of stories, right? Um, jokes that's supposed to be kind of just made to lighten the mood a bit, but then undercut everything that's actually happening. Um, and again, like I don't know how you would be able to do it ideally. Is probably how I should start, right? But it seems to me, like a lot of these characters in universe don't know one another, right? Like these two siblings, there's nothing that they say to each other that gives you like a inclination that I know you, right? We've been around each other enough to be able to talk this kind of way, and it maybe makes sense or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Another example being Teddy when he's talking to his mom, right? He seems to be like scared of her when they have that conversation in the basement.
Yeah.
Um, but
Mm.
it seems
Like
more
she was
so
gonna
like
hurt him or something.
yeah, but it seems more so like that is done for the audience. It's not like in universe that he's afraid of her. He's afraid so that the audience can know that she's a big deal, right? Because she doesn't do anything ever in the movie that's supposed to like put him in harm's way in any form or any fashion. So it's like, why was he afraid? Like, what was because the way that the scene is set, there's like these torture tools everywhere, and the way she's walking
Yeah.
around him, and she's saying, "This is an empire. I need to know that the hands that it will go into is whatever." And it's like like, but it feels more like no, the audience needs to know she's a big deal and she's like scary, right? So he's going to be afraid now.
Mm,
Yeah, I thought she was gonna like pull out a tooth or something, like just to put him in line. And then he's like, okay, nah. Then she's this because she's like this crime family is known for their,
brutality.
because when Dracula's like, are you into impalement and stuff like that? And he's like, yeah, our family's all about that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Although I kind of feel
And
like the
yeah.
scene that was leading up to that moment where Teddy Lobo had to talk to his mother, I thought that was kind of weird. Like
Hmm.
Teddy just got to his like I think the bottom bottom they were in, and
Hmm.
or the bouncer, I'm assuming it's a bouncer, dude was like, your mother wants to see you. And he's like, okay, I'm going up the
And then he
stairs.
goes upstairs.
And then he stops to say, like, in the basement. And in my head, I'm like thinking, okay, you did not need that long pause. What do you think you're doing? You're actually just making yourself look like an idiot. Because who says that your mother needs to see you? They go up, and then you're like in the basement. Like, yo, you
I don't know. I
one.
think the implication that the scene was supposed to be is that, like, again, like the thing of like he's in trouble, right? Again, the thing that he's supposed
Yeah,
to be scared. Like, I think that's what they were trying to, not
like
very well, but
usually I meet mom in the office upstairs, but hey, today it's the basement where the torture place is.
yeah, it's almost like a you know what you did, bro. You go to the basement.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get
That feels like what they were going
Yeah, I
for.
get that's what they were trying to go for, but I just still find it weird that the dialogue played out that way. Like the mom was just
No, I also don't like it, right? I like the exact thought that came to my mind is like, look at this douchebag, bro. Like, just why did you even say it that way? Like, a normal human being says your mom wants to talk to you in the basement.
I looked at it and I was like, why are you going upstairs? I thought at first that maybe, he's saying in the basement, like you guys always meet in the basement, like go to the basement. But then I eventually I was like, oh no, it's probably a thing of like he thought that like he's gonna go to the office upstairs or something.
Mhm.
I thought it was Ben's character being dumb, Teddy being dumb, but that wasn't the
That's
case.
the way they play it, right? Because the way that, again, the body language and like stuff of the god is like that, of like, this guy is being an idiot. But yeah, any thoughts on Renfield in the bar? I kind of felt like the
The
movie
bar
does this
fight.
thing before that, actually. Um, the movie does this thing quite often, that it's like, some ways that things happen kind of make sense, like the way that Renfield is very concerned when
Hmm.
he's in the bar, right? He sees these people and he's like, oh, they're coming for me. They must be coming for me. Like, kind of gives you this idea that he's really paranoid all the time about who has what intentions.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's what they wanted to convey with it. But I did like the fact that he felt very pressed when he started to see the people, and then he goes to the back door and he sees people are there as well, and he's like, oh no, they're coming for me, and he prepares like to do something. Um, but at the same time, it was like, why was he behaving this way? Like, why did he again, like, he's been doing this for at least 70 years.
Yeah,
It's like,
70, 80.
should he not have maybe already?
Are you talking about the scene where the cheerleaders and the nuns just pop out
Ye-
miraculously?
yeah. But like when Teddy Moss and his crew arrive, he must starts to like get really pressed.
Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
think when
He thinks they
Aquafina
did.
arrives as well, he's like, "Oh no, the police is coming after me."
Yeah, I don't know if like he meant they coming for me in the sense that because he didn't really do anything to them by that point, right? For them to be after him.
No. What happened was, most like, if I can run you through what he must takes the chloroform, he takes the cloth, and he's about to go and grab the chill, eat right in front of everyone. I'm not sure what his plan was.
I was also
Um,
like, what are you doing, man?
but then he must does that, and then Aquafina must walks between the crowd of cheerleaders, and he's like, "Oh, and he like tries to hide it away, and he's like, "Oh, don't think that, oh, shucks,"
Yeah, 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 yeah. Nah,
you
yeah, I
know,
see the scene now because it's
yeah,
sort of
and then
cops,
it's
and
and
then
then
Teddy's gang shows up, and it's like, oh shit, now Teddy's here.
yeah, right. So it's like, at that point, I can understand like his misunderstanding growing, right? But it's like the initial point of like, it's like, wait, what? Why is he? What's going on?
Hmm. And like, the whole thing of like saving Aquafina's life. Uh, you think he did that because like he's actually a good dude, or he just liked her or something?
I don't know. I really can't say it. It could be anything and mean anything.
Okay, I'm back, guys, and funny you should mention this scene because this scene was actually the one I was going to talk about. So, now to answer your question, George, I don't think he saved her because he liked her or he's a good person. I just think he saved her because he was inspired by how she stood up to Teddy Lobo, despite man, actually like having a gun to her face, and she was like, "Nah, dude, come on."
Which doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
It's so stupid because it's like he's stood up to people who's tried to kill him in this movie.
mm. Yeah, and the point I was gonna make earlier before I quickly had to like dip out was with the characterization of some of these characters. I feel like the movie doesn't understand what it's implying some of the times, or maybe it does, and I'm just thinking this movie is stupid because it kind of gives off the impression it is. But having certain characters say certain things gives off the air that it actually might be true. Because specifically with Teddy, was I calling this anyway? With Teddy, um, when he said, "You know what your father did when before we killed him? He begged for his life." And because this movie has tried to paint Teddy as an idiot, as someone who lacks common sense or is incapable of being strategic or thinking, it kind of gives off the impression that, oh wait, no, because of who Teddy is and because Teddy is saying this, that might actually be the truth because Teddy doesn't actually lie. He's quick to tell the truth. Because I mean, remember in that in that in the scene where he was like being held like in jail, not jail. Well, anyway, he was in like detention holding.
He was in the
Incarcerated.
interrogation room.
Yeah, he was there,
Mm.
and he was just like saying he was confessing to everything left, right, and center with no one interrogating him or anything. So the fact that he is saying that uh, Officer Queen, she's father, was um, begging for his life because of Lobo saying it, it makes it sound like this is actually something that happened. Although I,
But didn't they imply he wasn't even there?
yeah,
They implied he was there, but he didn't like he made his boys do it. He wasn't the one pulling the trigger and like
mm,
beating him up, getting his hands dirty.
yeah, um,
Ah,
that someone else pulled the trigger. So
Yeah, and that's why she was taunting him with it, like, "Oh,
although
yeah, you probably didn't pull the trigger."
yeah, while I say this, I say this like skeptically because I do notice that this could just be him like putting on airs, trying to get into Officer Queen she's head, just trying to act like a tough guy because he's got all his friends there to bail him out if he gets into trouble. So I think that that could be what's happening. But I'm just like saying that the implication that her father actually
I
saved his
wonder.
life could also be there.
I wonder. That sounds like it could be plausible, but I don't even know if the movie has decided fully what the scene is supposed to do, other than introduce Aquafina to Nick.
Yeah.
Take that, tourist. I still,
Oh yeah,
Oh
that
man.
did happen.
I still can't get over that scene. Like, yo, why would you say that?
So after
Also,
the scene, right? Like, okay,
oh,
this
I just want
Renfield
to get
needs.
into the thing of Renfield goes on a killing spree, right? But Aquafina's right there alongside him killing people. So I'm not sure what like is she not gonna like reveal that to the police at all? She seems to be the kind who would say like, I was killing people. That was probably a big no, right? Because normally you don't just say, yeah, there was a shootout here and that was a good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
like I kind of was kind of weirded by that because I've been watching the Rookie lately, right? And like her just offing straight, like just offing people. It's like, um,
I mean,
are
the
you?
police are corrupt in this film, right? But it seems to not even be acknowledged that she just murked a bunch of people.
Yeah, and because I think she
And
even
they,
asked him
they,
like, "Did you?"
they're very critical of Renfield for having killed. But it's like, she's got a body count too.
Because I think she even asked him, "Did you?" I think it's the same way she asked him, "Did you like cut that guy's hands off with a tray
Mm,
or something like that, or did you behead him with a
And
tray?" And he's like, "Yeah, I did."
adrenaline.
yeah,
Yeah, adrenaline. Sorry. And I was like, I thought you'd be like, oh, yeah. Anyway, come with me. You under arrest. And it's like, nah, you a hero. You saved my life. It's like, okay.
just so you know,
As you do.
that body count thing, there is no way that can be misinterpreted any other way. So whatever you meant, that is exactly what it is meant to do, meant to say, the meaning of it.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
no other way you can misinterpret that. I'm just saying.
Exactly. I'm glad that we both got that out of the way, that there is no way to misinterpret it. I'm sure it didn't have to be said because, as we all know, there wasn't any other way to interpret it. But thank you for making sure that we all do know.
My pleasure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What's the next scene?
I
Um,
think after like the Renfield is told that like he's a hero, he kind of like it puts a
he
spring
gets
in
the
his step.
transformation. He kind of goes right.
Yeah,
Or is that later? That's later.
it
I
puts
think
it
he does
plants
say
the
something
seeds.
though. Doesn't he say something like he's like they saw me. I haven't felt this
Yeah,
in decades. What like
yeah.
or something like that.
It's like for the first time, like they saw me, like wow, like it just did something for him.
I felt that.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, what
Um,
is the following scene? I'm losing my head canon here after the bar fight. Because this movie for me, I don't know if you guys felt that, but like the pacing or the runtime was weird, man.
yeah, no, it was pretty strange. I think the next scene is the next scene is them talking to each other, right? Him talking to Dracula, and Dracula's like, "I'm going to do world domination. Remember when you said I
Yeah, his
deserve
new
better? I
plan.
do deserve better."
Yeah, his
Dracula
new
and
plan.
Renfield.
And Renfield is there like on a paper at the bottom. And I was like the yeah, the wow.
I mean, at least he's there. He's part of the plan, sorta.
I kind of like I like that a bit, like how you get that burst of I can be something different. I can be something better, you know. But then you go back home and it's like actually it's gonna get much worse because now I'm gonna take over the world and it's like oh my god, oh no, now what do I do? You know, it kind of rushes the urgency of like okay, what are you gonna do now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
And also, it's kind of like nice to see Dracula's mindset. These like, yeah, Renfield, you are probably like integral to my plan, but you are just an afterthought to me. I will not treat you with any kind of human decency at all. I'm just saying. Yo,
Hmm.
whoa, whoa. Why am I remind? Why does this remind me of the bloodline?
No,
Should I
no,
acknowledge
you
Roman,
shouldn't.
the tribal chief? Wants this guy.
Nope. But um,
We were talking about
I
Thingy's
forgot what
plan
I
of
was going to
action,
comment on
Dracula's
because
plan of
you just
action,
destroyed my
and
train of thought. You
action.
see, this is what happens when you have ADHD. No, I wasn't going to mention that. I was going to mention actually like Dracula's
Ah,
viewpoints that he is a god. Any thoughts on that?
yes.
Because like the movie seems to be very adamant that he is a narcissist. Um, so I mean, like, I guess this is supposed to be like an extension of that, but like, I kind of sat there and I was like, this like chewed up bubble gum thinks he's a god.
Mm-hmm.
He stepped into the sun
Mm-hmm.
for half a second, bro, and he's like already like this mess of skin talking about, oh, I'm a god. It's like, nah, dog. I don't know how you think your plan is going to
Should
work
you not
out,
maybe
but
make more
I'm
vampires
like,
to
should you not
serve
maybe
you
try and
like
figure
bunch
out
of
like a
Dracula?
sunblock plan first?
Because we need to tell a story about Renfield.
No, he needs only
My
Renfield.
thoughts on that is just like I just went with the whole thing of like oh he's full of himself, he's self-centered, he thinks he has this delusion of grandiose, he sees himself as a god. Dracula always does this thing where like kind of in a lot of stories
Hmm.
Dracula hails himself like the devil himself, so it's like and I always find it interesting because I wondered to myself, like, what if they actually like, let's just say like Fox Lucifer had to meet
Hmm.
Dracula and like them having a conversation, like how would it go? It's like, I'm the Prince of Darkness. No, I'm the Prince of Darkness. It's like, that would be interesting. But yeah, I just thought it was him being full of himself.
Yeah, okay. Just thought it was interesting that like like he has such obvious limitations, but he's like planning world domination. It's like you do know that the world has a thing called daytime.
Exactly. Where you completely like
Inactive.
nerfed inactive. You gotta be in a coffin or something. You literally enter a coma.
But yeah, then the next scene is he goes to the a group and he tells
Where
them
he finally tells them
basic bits and pieces, and then like the dialogue is constructed in such a way that all of them like, yeah, I know that, and it's like you guys don't know that, and they're like, oh, you feel like he can just kill you in the snap of a fingers, like he doesn't even need to snap his fingers, and it's like I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it that the dialogue is like this is easily a misunderstanding.
and it's like, oh, something about like, hey, yeah, if I do that, he won't get to full power. It's weird that you phrase it. Why did he
I
say
did
that?
like
Okay, let's
that.
go with that. He won't get to
That's
full
another
power.
example of what I mean when I say like off air, right? Where I would say that like the movie knows what kind of movie it is, so it's not afraid to poke fun at itself, right? Where it's like it looks at those kinds of tropes. Because in other movies, a person would say that and a person would be like, "Yeah, sure, bro," but he was just like, "Yeah, he won't reach his full power." Why would you say it that way? That's very strange. Where it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
that feels like a very normal response for a kind of guy who would be in this kind of situation where he's like, it's his job to support you, right? So he's almost like a reflex to just agree with what somebody says, right? So like he agrees first and
Hmm.
then thinks about what they said, and it's like, oh wait a second, what? And then he's like, but you know what? Anyway, I agree regardless. So I
Yeah.
did kind of like that.
Yeah.
That did kind of
And
put a
then
smile on my face when he was just like, that's a weird choice of words, but yes, he won't reach his full power.
there's some scenes that like they make you they make you like that make made me like kind of like, huh, that's kind of funny.
Hmm.
The one scene that I think for me is the funniest, right?
Hmm.
is when Dracula's like saying, when he was talking about his plan, he was like, for so long I ignored the fact that I am like this grandiose, insatiable, and he goes, "Who, God?" Like he just like feels himself up, but like goes, "Oh, hold on, let me just
Yeah, he
feel
was
this
just
for a
like
moment."
nothing where he was like, oh, hold on a second. Like just saying it out loud kind of gets me in some type of mood. Hold on.
Yeah, like for me, that was I was like, that's kind of funny. Okay,
Yeah, just Nick being weird.
yeah, he enjoys it. You can see he
Yeah,
enjoys
he's
it.
just having a fun
Um,
time.
so after this trust Renfield, now they make him say that, okay, now you say that like you're gonna get to full power, you're gonna put all that energy into yourself. I do like how they use lots of like what's happening with Renfield as just like an allegory for like a toxic relationship and codependency. So it's like,
I'm not
yeah,
sure if
man,
I like
take
it.
that
I feel
energy
like
that you
it's
put into this
very on
person.
the nose, right? And I think it knows it's doing that. Knows. um, I think the movie does understand what it's doing, but I feel like that's like so lazy, man. Because it's not like even like it's making it an allegory. I think you saying it's making it an allegory is very generous. It's just what the movie says is happening. It's not an allegory, right? Like it
Yeah,
would be like,
yeah.
oh, guys, murderers are bad, and then it's like Renfield shows up and he's like, oh man, I know this murderer, and the movie's like, he's bad, and it's like, yep, that's what the movie said, and that's what the character in the movie now said. That's great. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's a massive point of praise. What is what I should probably say, but
Yeah.
I do see what you mean.
So Renfield fixes his
Gets an
hair,
apartment.
gets an
I thought
apartment,
he said at
yeah,
the beginning
paints
they
it
didn't
up.
have money, but you know what? I don't care.
Uh,
Because I thought that's why they live in the
he
abandoned hospital because they have no money.
yeah, times are tough, you know. And he paints it up. He gets furniture. He gets new clothes. He shopped at Macy's.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
and
he gets rid of all his bugs.
and he yeah, he throws them all away and he gives his hand to the neighbor who says, "Thank you, Mr. Renfield. You're a really cool guy." And then late in the movie, "You're a very bad man, Renfield." And it's like,
And he
okay.
just says something like, "What does he say?" I know, but that's it comes in handy sometimes. And it's like, where did that like you didn't have what? This seems like a completely different. Like Renfield wouldn't say that.
It's a completely different thing in this in the second half of this movie. It's like this movie's trying to convince me something else now, you
Eh.
know? Because I would have liked to see a story where like it goes on Renfield trying to improve, but it does this thing of like, oh
Or
guys, you know what? Renfield actually can't improve.
or
He's just how he
hypothetically a
is.
movie where Renfield understands that I am a bad guy. Because this movie keeps trying to convince us he's not a bad guy, but here in that scene when they say you're a bad man, he says yes, but it does come in handy sometimes. And it's like you've never had this perspective before. You hate doing any of this. You've never even viewed yourself as a bad person. You viewed yourself as a victim this
Hmm.
whole movie.
Now it's like, nah, bro. Sometimes I have to be the monster. So Dracula was right about you. It's like, what's happening here now?
It just seems like a tonal whiplash is probably what I should say. Like it's like whoa.
Yes, that is a very good um description of it. It really is a tonal whiplash. My neck still hurts.
Yep. But then he goes to Aquafina and
Um,
he's like, "Oh, here's some flowers. Give me sex."
yeah, he brings her flowers. He might meet a master martial artist at his door when he goes back, named Shang-Chi, because he's trying to
Sean.
get his best friend. But yeah, that's a whole nother universe. But yeah, I think he wants to like yeah be the first witness for what happened at the restaurant.
Mhm. And then they
Um,
don't really
and that
talk about that. They talk more so about like how she shouldn't stop being who she is because if she stops, then the monsters come out. And it's another example again of the movie being like, oh, we're gonna use dialogue that isn't what normal people would say, but it's easy to interpret it as something a normal person could say. Because he's obviously trying to
mm,
talk more so about himself, but through her. That like if you stop doing what you're doing, then the monsters will come out. Like if he stops feeding Dracula people, then Dracula will go out and do it himself.
What
yeah,
just happened?
what do you mean?
Did something happen?
Nah, just like it went out for a bit and then it's like say. You will be let in by the host or something along those lines.
Oh,
Maybe just connection.
oh no.
But
Then
yeah,
they go to the scene where they're like, "Oh,
the
satellites! We need to find Renfield. This guy, satellites, cameras. We can hack into
yeah,
this."
the Lobo family is just like looking for him, and they find him like everywhere, and then they pinpoint him at the hospital, which yeah,
Yeah, which
very
was honestly
convenient.
Yeah.
weird to me because that they said there was his last known location, and if they saying, I mean, if that really was,
What I want to know is what cameras are they using? Is there just like this one
eh?
camera that's just chilling outside?
Whoa,
Oh, hold
Okay,
on.
what just happened?
Yeah, hold
damn!
on.
Mono was yeeted. He was like, "What I want to know is," and they were like, "Yeet."
No, he
Anyways, what
never
I wanted
died.
to know is they're using satellites and cameras that they're hacking into, right? But like it's one of those weird nitpicks that I have about movies. There's like this one like sky view of the hospital. I'm like, what camera is this? Where's this camera from? Who put a camera just up in the skybox? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like,
Yeah.
it's just so bizarre.
Okay. Now. So back to the point I was making about if what they're saying is true and that really was his last known location, then that means even though he's been like getting his life together, he's still been going back to Dracula on the side, which kind of like defeats the purpose of him. Pardon me, trying to quote unquote get his life back. And then, but then there's this other option, like if that isn't true, why were they not
Isn't that the
able to?
implication, though? Hold on. Isn't that the implication, though? Because when Dracula enters his home, he says, "I was just on my way to you," and Dracula's already drinking like some blood, as almost to imply that he's always had a
Mhm.
supply.
Yeah, which
No, I'm asking. I don't know, right? I could have interpreted that scene completely incorrectly, but what the way I read it was that he has been helping Dracula this time, but it was just like, you know, not in full swing like he used to be, like subservient and stuff.
mm, I guess that could
Mhm.
be one way of interpreting it. Um, but the other alternative that I was talking about is that if that actually wasn't his last known location, why weren't they able to find him at his like guest house that he was
I
currently?
mean, I think I'd take it one step further. The police know where he is. He's with them, the corrupt police. If they wanted to find him, wouldn't there be like something on record that, oh, like wouldn't one of the cops go to the Lobos family and just say, hey, by the way, there was this one witness who testified against Teddy? Don't know if you want to know about that or not. This is the guy.
Yeah, like on the in the loop,
Hmm.
almost as if they wanted Teddy to meet Dracula and insert him back into the story.
Understandable. I mean, um, Dracula is supposed to be what makes the story interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, like they get like ambushed, like Dracula does the shadowy stuff, and he takes out everyone except for like Teddy,
We
and
skipped over
then
that other scene where
this
Aquafina's
other
like, you need to
conversation.
run this through thingy, DNA testing.
Let's actually talk about that. Since you had
No, I just
some
wanted
thoughts about
to
that.
like kind of bring up the fact that it's like she has tried by the way the story seems to imply she has tried to arrest Teddy quite often, and every time he's gotten out, right? And she's talking to her sister now, saying, "Hey, you're the only person I can trust. Everyone else here is corrupt. I need you to run this pen that Renfield used to kill Apache that she found at the crime scene. She wants her sister to use that essentially to try and pin Teddy to the crime scene, right? And her hope
Mm-hmm.
is that this can be finally the one ticket they need to get him arrested. And it's bizarre because you've arrested him plenty of times and he's got out plenty of times. So, and she herself says, I know it is a long shot. And it's like, it just feels weird, like trying to figure out what does the characters at any particular moment actually think about the events of the film. Because you would ask yourself the first thing of, why does she think it's a long shot? Like, what about this is the long shot? Like, the pen would have
Mm.
evidence to pin him down to that location, or that like him getting arrested would be pointless, because if it's the latter, then it's like, then why are you doing it? It's almost as if the movie wants Aquafina to find out that Renfield is an immortal servant thrall to Dracula.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure like most of the audience that's also like feeling on edge now, like, oh, she's gonna find out, she's gonna find out.
Yeah, and they were about to do something interesting together. This might be a romance, maybe.
But it isn't. Walks the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to the scene where they in Dracula's hideout, the hospital. Dracula now gets a hold of Teddy,
Man, here's
and
where the
they make a
dialogue is
deal, right?
also trash. It's like, oh, we're a crime organization. We do evil stuff. And it's like, why would a crime organization say we do evil stuff, bro? Like, what?
That was
Yeah,
oddly
and I was also
specific.
That's
like
yeah.
thinking,
So
okay, now why would you say that Renfield was trying to stop you from? I mean, was trying to save a bunch of
from saving
innocent.
innocent people, it's like, what's going on, bro?
Why
What's
would you
this dialogue?
specify that? And
It was everything was so oddly specific, as if they just wanted Dracula to do something. He needed to know the stuff and do stuff.
Like, what? Why would you even come to that conclusion? Is what I'm trying to figure out. Like, imagine this: you try and go and kill a cop, right? Some guy starts killing your people instead, and your immediate assumption is, he's trying to save innocent people. This man who's ripping my god's limb from limb, he's trying to save innocent people. It's not like Renfield announced, "I am here to save the innocents." Your soul is stained by the blood of the innocents.
yeah, and also nah, man, you're wrong for that one. Anyway, wait,
Teaser
what
for
was I
what
say?
comes next.
Uh, the line that Teddy Lobo's like, okay, Teddy asks Dracula, okay, who is he to you? Then Dracula's like, he's my servant, and Teddy's
It's
like
like, looks like he
saying
hasn't been serving
he
you
doesn't
well.
see.
It's like, where did that come
Yeah,
from,
I was
bro?
like,
Yeah,
You don't know these people.
yeah, how do you know this? You
I'm
don't.
telling you.
You should not know this. And how do you know he's not serving him well at all? For all you know, he could have sent him to. He could have sent Renfield to kill you. I mean, I'm just saying, you should not know
Like,
that.
but think again about this in the context of the conversation. He's like, he's my servant, and he's like, he looks like he hasn't been serving you well. It's like, as according to what? Because he killed your men at a bar.
Hmm.
What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like, just from the perspective of Teddy, like, what do you mean? Like, how do you know Dracula wasn't like, I want some gangster blood?
Yeah.
Just so the dialogue is so bizarre, bro. They just wanted to be like, nah, how do we speed run Dracula changes sides?
That is the thing. It's like they wanted to speed run like him being involved in something.
Um,
That was my issue with it. Like everything was so on the nose. Like he has to say this because it has to achieve that effect. Like just do
do
it.
it now. I don't even know how you like.
Regardless.
That's the thing, right? This is the kind of stuff that I think about. Like, same thing with the corrupt cops. This is the kind of thing that would do well with like a longer story format, right? Where you can actually explore this and like have the characters, like something like Dracula gradually finding out that Renfield, like, again, that's why I understood it the way that I did, right? That Renfield is still helping and
Yeah.
serving Dracula. It's just that he's doing it less and less often. But Dracula doesn't notice because he's too preoccupied with like, how do I dominate the world? I could do this and do this. So he doesn't really, he's not having his mind focused on Renfield, nor has he ever.
No, no,
Sorry?
you can go on,
Oh.
go on.
Yeah, so it's like that's why I had an understanding that it was supposed to be that no, Renfield just isn't helping Dracula as often, but he is still supplying him blood and stuff. And if it were a series or a longer story format, right, or just more time is invested into this, like a time skip or something, we could then see like Dracula gradually kind of finding out that, but this is strange. He says these things that I've never heard of before, right, because they're not from this era, right? So like maybe Renfield mentioned something that's a way more modern thing to say, and Dracula be like, "Hold on a second, what?" Stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
Renfield has a cell phone now, and Dracula's like, "Why do you have a cell phone, bro?" And he's like, "Nah, just so I can, I can call people." And Drac's like, "People? Who? What people do you know?"
Yeah, you've been with me this like entire time. Just
Yeah,
me.
like stuff like that. That like you just gradually find out about it. But then this movie was like, nah, nah, he needs to find out now, immediately. He's going to find out now and immediately. Also,
Hmm.
apparently, I guess he can enter people's establishments on technicalities.
The whole doormat thing was just like I was just weirded out by that because you're supposed to almost invite him in
Yeah,
if the mat is saying
come
welcome
on in.
kid. Like it's not a person, it's a mat, dude. Like
I guess
come
it's the
on,
thought that
man.
counts.
The thought that counts.
Because like the thing is, when he goes to
The
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 AA
one
group, right, he's midway between stepping, and the guy's like, "Oh,
I was about to
hey, come on
mention,
in,"
yeah.
and then he gets in, and it's like, "Huh."
Yeah, that one was like, okay,
Was that like
they
was
invited
that
him
like
in.
mind games? Like he did the steps so that the guy could say come in? Was that the supposed to be like what they were trying to imply?
Or just like the AA guy stupidity of like not stupidity, but like just like you, hey, this guy wants to join us.
Hmm.
We always welcoming people here, open arm policy, open
I'm not
hands,
sure if you guys brought
open
this up yet, but
arm.
like in terms of Dracula's regeneration, why is it that the whole movie basically we spend with Dracula having been burnt like weeks ago by the sun and gradually regenerating, but then when it happens at the end of the movie where he gets burnt equally as much, he just instantly regenerates.
This just links back to how his powers are scuffed.
Because I was like, oh, okay, so he can just regenerate. Because I thought as soon as Aquafina did, I was like, the movie's done now. He can't do nothing.
Writers getting lost in the source. You forget like a lot of things, and you know, this is the thing I was talking about where it's like, this is like a trope that's happening in a lot of movies where people just forget the powers, man. Like, damn.
But yeah, then Dracula must goes to confront Renfield, and he's all like, "Oh, you suck, and you can't hurt me. You could never hurt me. You are a leech who's been trying to take advantage of me." And Renfield takes out the book, and he's like, "Blah blah 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 blah. I deserve better."
He starts to recite the how to defend yourself from a narcissist,
Yeah,
and at the same
I don't know
time,
if the implication
you
is
know,
supposed to be that he's just so nervous he can't remember the stuff from the book, or it's just that he's never read it before. But I'm going to be charitable and say he just can't remember because of the heat of the moment.
I was a little bit taken aback. I thought like he was gonna open the book and like something like a crucifix or something was gonna come out the book, but he just like pointed the book
Hmm.
and then he said what's in the book. And I was like,
And
okay, this
Dracula is
is
just like, "Hey, yo,
okay.
what?" And it's like, "Don't interrupt me."
Yeah, it's like okay. Like, and why doesn't this dude just like slice your throat?
I just don't know what the scene was trying to achieve, other than, "Oh, guys, do you get it? They have an abusive relationship." The thing we just been telling you for the past like 1 hour.
Yeah.
Also, I don't understand still what is the nature of Renfield. Like he's not a vampire. Why does he have like pale skin and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes there's pale skin. Sometimes he looks normal. Sometimes he doesn't.
Nah, guys, I think they're just I think they're just trying to poke fun at him being British. The
Oh,
stereotypes. They don't get a lot of
Wow.
Sunday, no tan, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. Don't think about it too much, is what
Wow.
I'm saying. I am not saying this. I am saying the movie might be saying this.
I was just gonna get into that. The timeline of the movie is pretty confusing. I'm not sure, like, because the investigation of Doug and Mitch's death comes closer to the tail end of the film, and it's like, so no one looked into this up until now, or what's going on?
Yeah, this is now after Dracula's visiting Renfield, where Aquafina and her partner, who's also in on the corruption, by the way, they go to Doug's chick, who is with
Chick.
Mitch's
And they're having
chick.
a party as if they just
Yeah,
found out that Doug and Mitch are dead. And I think that they did say in the film earlier on that they went missing. So I guess this was like supposed to be the scene where it's confirmed that they're dead. Question mark.
yeah,
But why though?
and then they're like, yo, and then they're like, yo, did you guys see um these like what happened to them? Did you guys know he's dead and
Oh yeah,
stuff,
by the way,
or
Dracula
someone
says, "I'm
took
going
him?"
to kill those people at that AA group of yours."
Yeah, and Ren races to get there. They all die. I thought like something was gonna happen where like they were spared, but they all died.
They got murked.
They got murdered, bro.
It
They
was
all
so
died. I
weird,
was
bro.
like,
Like
damn,
Dracula
okay.
punches Renfield like in the chest and he gets sent flying or whatever. And in that moment of slow
For
motion,
quite some
that's
time.
what I was gonna say. Like I don't know if movies understand super speed or slow motion because Renfield is flying back in slow motion, but everybody else is fighting back and reacting to Dracula in real time. But Renfield is in slow motion, so it's like, does
Hmm.
Dracula have the ability to like slow mo people?
Like, I mean, don't they have like weird, like some vampires have this like weird abilities to like, where they say they can defy gravity but not fly.
And Dracula just straight up flew. He was like, I am. And then he just flies into the air, and they all like, hey, yo, hold on.
Yeah, the budget probably
Also,
didn't
it's
allow
so
for him to
bizarre
still
how he
fly.
keeps slipping into the accent only when he says his name because he like talks exactly like
Dracula.
he almost talks normal for most of the film. Like there is like some twang in how he's talking, right? But then he will be like, I am Count Dracula. And you're like, oh, okay. Do you practice that in the mirror? Probably not.
But sometimes it's just Nicolas Cage with a mouthful of
Yeah.
teeth.
Yo, but
Tot-
I kind of enjoy
Um,
how in that AI meeting scene, man got so pissed when he said, "Oh, Renfield's boss," because he was like the whole time like
Redfield's
Renfield's boss, and I
boss.
was like,
Like
"No,
you will not address me like that, you actual scum.
uh,
He got pissed. He got so
yo,
pissed. Hey man, like the resolution between
Also, Renfield gets
Sister
arrested
Girl
for the
and her
murder of
sister.
all these people. It's so bizarre. It's like, bro, like, do you see my fingerprints on anybody here, bro? Anybody.
It's like it's like nah. The fact that we caught you in a crime scene
Oh
with
yeah, he
blood,
does
and
have
because we
blood on
need
his
to
hands
make
because he went to go and touch the guy's neck for some reason.
because people
Yeah,
always do
people just
that
going like,
in
oh,
some
let me go get my
stories.
hands covered in blood. This is not going to lead to any
Hey, this
misunderstanding.
person got shot with the gun. Let me go touch the gun. He got stabbed. Let me go touch the knife. That's evidence. But let me add my fingerprints to that.
Just so we know. And then the police and the mafia of the Lobos show up and they're like, Aquafina, give us that guy. And she's like, no. And it's like, what's happening? Why did you do that?
No, you said Aquafina was funny, man. It's like,
nah, that lady's voice is just something, yo." I think
And then she says something weird.
no, Colonel, man. Colonel,
Success is
man.
best
the
form of
best
revenge.
reward or something. Oh yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? What's the context there?
What do you guys think about the resolution air quotes between Aquafina and her sister? That in the end they just hunky
I
dory.
don't know. I don't know what the conflict is. So that's why I said I don't know what the conflict
I
is. Is
don't
the conflict that her sister doesn't do anything despite the fact that the police is corrupt? What is the sister supposed to do? You know, like
And she's FBI. Like what?
I mean,
Where's like
I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
it's
know.
mainly because near-death experiences clearly, change your character, just like that. I mean, if you are
yeah.
at odds with someone else, it's resolved. Once you get back to full death, like nah, guys, I didn't need to fight with this person, so I'm not gonna fight with him at all. Exactly. Near-death solutions.
I'm going to speed run, right? They get into a chase. Aquafina gets shot. She passes out. Blah blah blah. Renfield takes her to the apartment. Meanwhile, Dracula's like, "Hey, I want to talk to your moms. Where your mom at?" And Terry Lobos is like, "Oh, I'm gonna take you to my mom." And then Dracula's like,
Oh,
"Also,
that
I'm going to
movie.
make you into a thrall now because for some reason I'm going to do that."
Yeah. And now
And now
Teddy
Teddy
has
just has no
powers
problem
that
with
could.
killing people. By the way, we didn't really mention it, but there seems to be this implication that he doesn't like. He has an aversion to killing. He's too scared to do it.
And then when he and then he sniffs a centipede. Tell me this bug isn't a
No, no,
problem
no.
again. Like
Like
just try, bro.
that happens after he kills a guy already. It just seems that Dracula's blood makes it that you.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming it's
Okay.
his blood
Fine.
that makes you. It probably isn't, but it seems to just make it that your conscience gets like erased. You don't mind killing people because he just uppercuts a dude's head off.
Yeah, like man, the gore is just insane. This movie. I had a plate of food, and immediately when I saw the gore, I was like, "Oh, this is that type of movie. I shouldn't have made food."
But yeah, we'll get to the part that I wanted to speed run towards, right? Aquafina wakes up and she's like, "Oh, who are you? What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm just here to give you some cookies." And then she's like, "You're a murderer. I don't want your murder
So
cookies." And
good.
he's like, "These aren't murder
So
cookies.
good.
These are just normal cookies." And she's like, "Oh, I don't know what a normal cookies are to a murderer." And it's just like, "What's going on? What's happening? What's
Dialogue.
happening, bro?" Like, what I don't understand is why she's so like, why does she have like this aversion to him when she was the one who went to go and fight the mafia and the cops to not have him go to them? Like, what is her thoughts and perspectives on Renfield?
Never really made clear. Well, she did must say that you're not a hero or villain, you're just a guy that kills people, and it's like,
But that's what you find out
okay,
now
so
only.
yeah,
Aquafina is like the cookies, and then they have a phone call with the sister, and the sister's like, ah, this guy is like a super murderer and 70 years old. And then she's like,
yeah.
I'm with him.
He's one of the most prolific murderers on the planet.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm with him right now. It's like,
And her sister,
do
her
I come
sister
there
has
right now?
no care in the world. Her sister's like
At
treated that like
all.
almost as if, oh man, I'm about to go to like the cinema. It's like, oh, that's pretty nice. You want me to go with you? And it's like, nah, don't worry about it. I'll go alone. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Sisters, everybody.
Like you just said, this is the history's like worst murderer ever, serial killer, and you just like, ah, my sister's with them. Doesn't matter. She's eating cookies that he gave her. I won't even ask the context.
Oh my
It's
god,
like,
man.
wow.
Oh man. Oh man. Like,
Like if I had like one of my siblings give me a phone call right now and said, "Hey, bro, I'm like sitting next to a murderer right now." Bro, my heart rate will be reaching levels that is not humanly possible, bro. I'd be like, hey, bro, like
your
get out of there, man. Like, what you doing there?
bro, your brain, your heart rate was just like, bro, 200 ppm straight. Your Demon Slayer marks gonna appear.
Exactly, man. It's like, damn, like get out of there. Like, do you need help? Like, should I call the cops? Why are you phoning me anyway, bro? Phone the police. I don't care if my brother was like the greatest assassin on earth, man. Like, it's like, dog, get out of there.
Yo, why you calling me? You call the police? That's hilarious. But yeah. So basically, it all just snowballs into
We need to beat
um
Dracula.
eventually. Yeah, we need to beat Dracula. The police, the corrupt police, attack Renfield by his apartment. Aquafina's character and Renfield fight them off,
Renfield goes to
right?
steal some ants.
Yeah, he steals from the kid who he almost dropped his last ant in the kid's ant farm. He breaks into that kid's house, takes his whole ant farm and chugs it, and then uses that as the power to go full R-rated on the entire
Which
force
actually
that goes
makes me
after them.
wonder how
And
many of those
then
ants did he eat? Because it looked like he was just chugging sand from where I was standing. Like, I'm like, yo, boy, what?
exactly,
I wonder, like on set, like what prop did they use for that? Like, did they like get like a bunch of biscuits and stuff? Like maybe the leftover cookies, and then they crush it up and make like put it in the sand.
they better have. If I was Nicholas, I'd be like, crush up Mari biscuits, bro. I'm not putting sand in my
Some
mouth.
Mari biscuits.
Crush up Mari biscuits. Or eat some more.
Yeah,
Mix
some
it thinner. I
shortbread.
don't know. Yeah. Ain't no way I'm putting sand in my mouth.
Because he just chugs it like nothing, bro. It's like he's not like he doesn't have a dry mouth, nothing. He just like, yeah, bro, that was actually pretty good.
Mm,
Scrumptious.
mwah. Five-star
Mm-hmm.
meal.
And then I don't understand. Like, quick question: are the Lobos people looking at this happening live? Because one of them was comments like, "Wait, he can fly," and it's like, guys, like he's ripping people apart. Like,
Yeah,
yo,
that one was kind of weird to me because I was like, I thought they were like looking at it through the body cam footage, but I was like also thinking, are they looking at it through the
the
alien?
satellite.
Yeah, because I'm like, yo, how? And also, if you had the satellite, why would you have a sense of urgency to find her? Because you'd be like, it doesn't matter where she goes, you will still be able to find her.
No, no, stop that. What logic is not allowed.
Oh yeah, my bad,
Enjoy the
my
movie.
bad, my bad. That was my fault. I apologize. Logic, just go, shoot. We don't need you, your logic.
No logic.
So
We don't.
Sonic comes back, and now he Shadow the Hedgehog, and he's all like, "Mom, here's Dracula."
I am the ultimate life form.
And then Dracula comes out of the coffin like, ooh, look at me, I got a coffin. I don't know where I got this, but I have
Yeah.
it.
And in the meantime, Aquafina and Renfield are stocking up on weapons and bugs to go and save
And then
her
she
sister who's
gets
been
a
taken by
phone
them.
call. And it's like, yeah, we got your sister. And Renfield gets like a Dracula Skype call in the head.
Yeah, he does. He
And then the
does.
two of them have like this
Yeah.
minor conflict of we need to do this now. And Renfield's like, oh, we need to plan better. And she's like, nah, we're doing it now. And then they go and steal a nice car.
Yeah. Teddy's car. And then when they get to the headquarters, they find out that not just Teddy, but everybody became all the gang members, like the henchmen, became Dracula's people
Something
with
they
their
don't really go
glowing
through any
eyes.
level to try and explain how it even happens. Like, what?
They just
Yeah.
do. They just all eat bugs now.
Yeah, and the thing that bothered me about this so much
Hmm.
was that, okay, if they're all familiars, they should all be on the same level of power that Renfield are, or at least to some extent. Now, my question
And
is,
you can almost tell that they have a budget, by the way, because like most of the fights seem to involve just like hand-to-hand combat and guns.
mm, and I was like,
It
thinking,
doesn't seem
Yeah,
like superhumans battling it out.
yeah, and I was like thinking, okay, how haven't you guys overpowered him? I mean, you do know you can jump this man. You guys are kind of getting it right, but not fully committing. Like, guys, come on.
It seems that the implication, at least for Renfield, seems to be that he's way more experienced at this, which is bizarre because like you fought superhuman people. Because like he seems to be like tossing them around, making them hit each other and stuff like that, you know? So
Mhm.
it's like they give this thing this vibe that like Renfield,
mm.
like he does this
Yeah, he him for real, for real.
But then Teddy starts kicking
for
his ass.
whatever reason. And he's like, I'm clearly the yin to your yang. And it's like, no. But at least
We only met on two
Yo, I
the
love
occasions.
that
movie also
scene so
acknowledges like,
much.
nah, bro.
Like, yo, Teddy was so offended by, like, yo, bro, don't you dare disrespect the connection we have. Like, you condescending. Wait, was it condescending or damn? What was the line? But
I don't know. Teddy was being
Man,
just
I
like
would have
he was being
I would
weird,
have
but
really in that situation been like, dog, I don't even know your name. I don't even know who you are.
Thanos much?
yeah, yeah. So we're gonna try and wrap this up. You know, quite a interesting movie. Um, it it wasn't. I wasn't completely bored, but hey, man, there were so many times in this movie like almost lost me. Like I was on the edge of just like pausing this thing and being like, "Hey, gents, like let me come back to this." But hey, man, I stuck it out.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, like at the back off of the movie, a lot of things are starting to. It started to pull the Flash. Where it's like the third act is not it, man.
I
It's,
think
it's like what is
the
happening
third
here?
act was kind of just a okay, we haven't really built up anything here. We don't know how it's supposed to end. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing really. Must Dracula die? Must him and Renfield reconcile with each other? Must Renfield like just claim his freedom and leave? And Dracula's like, fine, I don't need you anyway. Or what was supposed to happen? We don't know. It just kind of ends.
Yeah, and I think yeah, I'll yeah, this movie for me probably 4 out of 10, man.
I think we could have done well if this was a series with a reasonable budget, reasonable dialogue, and the premise wasn't this shoddy.
Yeah, just with more time because they setting up quite a few things and they imply quite a few things. It's like, hey man, if you take the time to
And
work
they have
on
quite a
that,
few story
you
threads.
got something. Yeah, you got
And also,
something.
just like I don't understand like the
Um,
power levels of the characters, right? Because close to the end, it's like Renfield kind of just starts wailing on Dracula, and it's like, is the idea just
that's the thing I was like when we're talking about the Dracula powers. It's like one moment you can't, now you can. It's
like
like
that? I don't like when stories do that, right? Because it's like, so what am I supposed to take away from this? He didn't believe in himself up until now,
The
or
power was
because it's
inside
like,
of you
yes,
all
I
along.
know what I am. Yeah, like so it's like at that point in time, why go through the effort to explain that these characters aren't as strong as each other, right? Like why would you go through the effort to say no, Renfield isn't as strong as Dracula if he is, right? It should be more sort of thing of like what happened in Across the Spider Verse, right? By the end, where Miles realizes that I am strong, it should be something like Renfield realizes, oh, I'm not actually weaker than Dracula. That's just something I thought as a result of our relationship, right? The nature of it. I'm the servant, he's the master, but I'm actually just as strong as him, or
mm,
something like that, right? It should have been a mental thing, not a oh he just does it now because he decided to.
take back the power
Yeah.
from his abuser. But yeah, I don't think there'll be a Renfield sequel. Hopefully Nick Holt gets the Lex Luthor role. He could definitely use that W, man. Because Nick Cage, he's fine. He's just having fun now. But Nick Holt, like, yeah,
Yeah.
he probably needs that Lex Luthor role. Uh, yeah, and Aquafina's in Marvel now, so Shang-Chi 2 comes out, she's there. Also sit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Not really great. Kono, what's your thoughts?
Well,
Let's put a close to this chapter.
if you shut your mind off, this movie will be fine. 6 or 7 out of 10.
That's generous.
Yes, it is generous. But if you're thinking like I was, nah, you're gonna have to be. This movie just does not do it for me. I mean, wait, what?
so did you not like the
Don't
movie?
get me wrong. I found the movie enjoyable when I switched off my mind, but when I started thinking about things, this movie got me so messed up. Like, yo, what's even happening in this movie? Why are certain things happening? How is he fighting back? Why is he? I get why he's fighting back. Anyway, this movie, it really, I want to say it's almost as bad as that movie.
I know what movie you're talking
Nah,
about.
it can't. It can't.
Nick
Like,
Cage,
it
but
can't.
nah,
Really?
you're exaggerating, bro. You're exaggerating.
It can't be
When
that
you
bad.
think about
That's
it,
insane.
I mean, sure, it's not as
Nah,
bad, but it's getting
this
close.
movie's way more competent. This movie's way more competent. That movie that you're talking about, bro, that's like an aneurysm that got filmed.
Man,
But
but yeah, man, like, guys, comment down below what you guys think of Renfield. If you watched it, if you didn't watch it, like, if you just used our review to get to know what this movie like was like, let us know what you
Make some
think.
suggestions
Like,
for
from what we said, is it
improvements.
worth watching? Yeah, make some suggestions for improvements. Comment down below what stuff you want us to review, movies that you've seen, trash or good or mud that you want us to review. And yeah, keep it here, folks. Like, subscribe to the channel with your bell on so you don't miss out on
wait,
those things that
why?
we talk
No,
about.
no, don't subscribe
And yeah,
again. Why do we have to keep doing the song and
Don't
dance?
do the story arc again.
you keep doing this, but I keep cutting it out.
It's
It's
not
going to
gonna
happen.
happen. I will keep
So
doing this
this
It
until.
is inevitable.
Eh,
I am
no, you are
inevitable.
not. You are not
Okay,
Thanos
so
or Agent Smith.
so
Oh my gosh, Agent Smith, that man. Damn. Anyway,
Well, I guess that's the closer that we can have here, ladies and gentlemen. Please do enjoy yourself. Have more respect for yourself when you are watching movies. Don't just accept the bare minimum.
and don't
yeah.
subscribe.
I think that should be.
Um
I actually think that should be the takeaway, right? We are the bare minimum. Don't accept us, but do enjoy us, right? We can be a guilty pleasure.
Why
always
does
do
that
you and always
sound
look
so
good doing it,
wrong?
guys. Also, stay away from the grimace shakes, okay? So you don't turn into a purple zombie. Um and yeah, we'll check you guys next time.
Why?